Okay, it is, my goodness, it's the 4th of February, 2021. And I'm so excited. I'm Paula Cori here with Elevate Me Hub. And I'm so excited to be here with Patricia Cori, who is a dear friend I've known for almost a decade. And so let me give you a little bit of a bio about the gift that we have to have a conversation today. A native of the San Francisco Bay Area, Patricia is a world-renowned author, public speaker, and activist for the rights of human beings and animals, a warrior for planet Earth. A proven psychic and sensitive, she's been explored mysticism, philosophy, ancient civilizations, metaphysical healing, spirituality, and unexplained mysteries, and teaches on these subjects to enthralled audiences around the world. For over 2 decades, Patricia's cut a path through the ambiguity of established thought, describing herself as a conspiracy realist. I like conspiracy analyst as well. She is considered a luminary of these times, and her work is embraced for its dedication to challenging the status quo and opening new vistas on human awareness. A prominent figure in the spiritual community, well known on the international lecture circuit, actively offering courses, seminars, and workshops internationally on a vast range of topics, which reflect her broad knowledge of alternative methodology in healing and her remarkable gift in helping others rekindle and ignite the flame within. Patricia has been recognized and celebrated as a gifted shaman by indigenous spirit teachers of the Tibetan, Mayan, and Peruvian traditions, and has been embraced by the shamans of Palenque as one of the 4 spirit guardians of that sacred site. In 1996, Patricia established the Lightworks Travel Club, Soul Quest Journeys, and that year led a group of spiritual travelers to Nepal and Tibet, to whom she introduced the sacred temples and breathtaking spirit of the Tibetan landscape. Patricia has since guided people through sacred sites in Asia, Mexico, Egypt, Europe, Peru, and the crop circles in England. And also, excuse me, swims with the dolphins in the Azores to contemplate the potential of interspecies interaction and our heightened sensitivity to the world that surrounds us. In every case, Patricia has opened the portals and helped people experience the other side of the veil. And we're going to talk about her books in a minute. But Patricia, thank you so much for taking the time to join me for a little conversation today in this crazy, crazy world. How are you doing?
It's a pleasure, and we certainly have extra time on our hands now that we're locked into our home.
Yeah, are you guys on strict lockdown now too?
No, it's not bad here. I'm on this island in the Azores, and the requirement is that you wear a mask in the stores, but we don't have that many stores, so it's not a big issue. But yeah, walking along the beach or in the village is no problem. So
it's funny. I was I just saw a picture of a young man on a beach meditating. I'm assuming it was in England. I saw a picture of a gentleman meditating on a beach, wide open beach with about 7 officers around him. And he's got his eyes closed in deep meditation. And that's illegal. It was funny. I said this, I got caught up with Carrie Kay a couple weeks ago. And I think I shared there, my son said to me, he's 21, he was making a joke. And he says, I was at home smoking a joint with my family. And he looks at me, Mom, isn't it crazy that the family part was the illegal part? I was at home with my family, right?
That's shocking. It's really shocking. It's illegal to give food to the homeless. I mean, it is upside down world we're in. And I pray God that we can turn it around.
Well, that is indeed what we need to rely on, is because, as you have written in many of your books, this is about the awakening, right? The awakening of human consciousness and stretching our awareness and recognizing that we are not just this random human, with no purpose, plucked here on planet Earth with no reason but other than to enjoy the pleasures of life, and then you die and then it's done. That seems kind of rudimentary, doesn't it?
It does. That, and the fact that if you were going for the strictly sensate experience, there might be another planet which would be more amenable to having a lot more pleasure and a lot more fun than Earth. So it clearly speaks to me of a decision at the soul level to come in to the School of Hard Knocks. Yes, a beautiful place, but a School of Hard Knocks where we have the opportunity to really dive into polarity, dive into the absolute dichotomy of experience, and from it glean and refine, to glean wisdom and to refine the multifaceted diamond. The old adage of from compressed carbon come diamonds. And so we're in the carbon here.
We are in the carbon.
Forward the diamond.
I was reading recently, so we're going to get it. We're totally going to go galactic here, everybody. So if if you want your mind to be stretched into what the possibilities and potentials are, then please do stick with, because this will expand your reality and your experience too. So if we think about galactic for a second, you know, we're this beautiful planet, this gem, moving through space at 45,000 somewhat kilometers an hour. We really are on the mothership. But this earth is really an emotional realm, right? Like the Arcturians, I understand, as a group of beings, you're very intimate with the Sirians. I have connections to Sirians. I have a cat who I swear is a Sirian, and I'll tell that story again. But this is really the emotional realm, right? So diving into the carbon, as you mentioned, our task really is to master the emotions as we witness so many different ways that source would express through each of us, right? It's all an expression of source in one way or another. And our job is to master, almost like be in the world, but not of it.
When you started fanning, you lost me.
I know. It's the emotional realm, and being in the world, but not of it, and mastering our emotions is really the work of the day.
I think so. I think that also we are faced with a period on Earth where we are really stuck in the lower chakras: survival, emotion, and powerlessness, or at least the battle for power. And that power is interpreted by many to be power over others. But we, as we are evolving souls, understand that it's power to, and the will to raise our frequencies from these traps of emotion and survival, and find from that field aspect of those lower centers the power, the will to bring it up through the heart and to rise up into higher states of consciousness. So yeah, I agree with you about the emotion, and that right now the attack on the human race is about those lower three centers. And right now they seem to be working on power more than, I mean, it fluctuates, right?
Yeah.
Right now, the forces that are in control on this planet, apparently, because we're not sure, seem to be really trying to repress any sense of power, individual power and sovereignty in the entirety of the human race. So it's, you know, a clarion call to people to stand up, because if you don't do it now, you may never have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, because it was 2 weeks to slow the spread, and now we are almost a year later. And clearly that doesn't work. It doesn't work.
1 year later, the complacency the fact that people don't question, can't reach to the point where they're questioning why they're wearing 3 of them. We're trying to be careful with our language, aren't we? Yeah. Why they're wearing now 3. Start out with 1, then it was 2. Now they're wearing 3, and lining up.
And now there's a new way of getting tested.
Yes, the big plug
outside of a drive-through. Well,
it's just, you see these things and you think it's a joke, and then you know it's not, and it's just
I know. And I'm just going to say this: my husband, my beloved, is a police officer. All right, and he's been trained in how you collect DNA. I don't think that this is unknown, but you can get
not rocket science.
No, it's not rocket science. You can get DNA from a piece of chewing gum on the ground. So tell me why they got to stick a swab way up your brain or way up your bum. You know, that's just...
Well, they want the swab up in your brain because they want to... personally, I think they're putting something in. And again, it depends on how much you want to go down the rabbit hole in this conversation. So you give me a
Well,
signal.
you know, hey, there's, it seems, let's, I'm going to circle back before we go there to the critical thinking aspect. Because, and then even about emotions and the lower chakras and raising our vibration. So for those that are listening, if you think of a musical scale, the lower chakra, you could say would be the base root chakra. It's at the perineum. And you could say also that the hatred would be the lowest vibration on the scale of music. If you just look at it from an octave perspective, and then the top musical note, you could equate it to, just for metaphorical understanding, as the crown, which is opening to cosmic wisdom, divine wisdom, and the highest vibration on that musical note would be love. And we're witnessing a lot of hatred and a lot of division. And in those lower three chakras, as you mentioned, all below the belt, all below the waist, right? Fear, power, creativity, which is of course the debasement of sex in all its forms. Because the problem that we have with the folks that are running this planet are slave traders.
That's right.
Slave traders. And I believe I read a stat recently that we have about 28 million people on this planet that have been robbed of their freedom because they figured out that trading a key of heroin yields a certain amount of profit, but a human being is very, very profitable, which is, this is the sad truth. I lost my whole train of thought, but the idea of fear paralyzes people's ability to critically think. And I think that what might be, Patricia, why they're not questioning. Because I saw a fellow with a painted on mask who went shopping. Nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. And in fact, they even had security guards take a photo of this man's face saying, "I like your mask." And it was just painted on with the white and the blue. So do you,
Of course, because the way he was adhering to the, and you know, let me interrupt myself here to say, I do believe there is also a problem, a health issue out there. So I'm not denying it. I'm not a hoaxer, although I do feel that it's been utilized for reasons that have everything else to do than containing a pandemic. Pandemonium, I was going to say, and I came out with pandemic, which just kind of works.
that's a good word. I like it.
Yeah, pandemic. I think I'll
Trademark that one.
yeah, that's the word. But you know, he in essence was adhering by painting that mask on, because the purpose of these masks, again, acknowledging that there is also a health issue, is to show your obedience, to be in obedience. So going to the lengths of painting a mask on your face is in essence another sign of being obedient to the master. And probably they got a little charge out of that and let it ride because, you know, he was in obedience. But then again, in different societies right now, there are the people that are hysterical. If you're not wearing it, you're going to kill them. I mean, I've had people say this, you know, you don't wear a mask, you could kill other people. I was like, it's 99.98% healable.
Yes.
Better odds than the flu. And I stopped trying to rationalize with anyone to understand it, because back to what you were saying, it's not only the fear, because as I've been saying in interviews, the response to the fear is so thousands of times higher than the response should be to the input of fear. There's more here, and that is mind control, and most of it is coming from the television set. Yeah. So I don't have television. I haven't had it for 25 years, which is why I'm still smiling. But I recently because of watching what was going on with the erection flood, I picked up quite a segments of US television over the net, and it was advertising about pharmaceuticals and the imprinting. Every social media at the top says the word health issue update. Yeah. Have you checked your health issue? Everywhere on every social media, fact check, update, information, what to do. It is just a complete, total mind control.
Yeah, everywhere you
Program.
look, it's being pushed out.
So, you know, my message to people is, if you really want to get a handle on this, yes, you can go along with the story and line up for your big V, which, you know, will inevitably be another discussion, probably for another conversation. But, or you can turn off the TV, reject, turn off the, you know, for example, when I try to unhook the and now I've lost my thread.
You were talking about the inundation of the television about healthcare and take this, and basically
and the programming.
The assault on your mind.
Assault, and people don't realize it, but think of this. You have television nonstop in most homes. People run it even while they're eating, which I have never tolerated ever. Even back when I had it, it was like eating is sacred, especially when you're with family. It's like the preparer of the food is performing a sacred act, and it needs to be honored for that. Not to sit it with your cell phone while you're shoveling the food down your face, or watching the television while you're doing it. So becoming more conscious of how you let things into your consciousness is very much a point in our conversation here. You can either be a robot that just sits there and absorbs and absorbs and loses even the consciousness that you are sucking this all in, or you can say, no, I'm not going to allow this either ever or within within times that are sacred to me. But less and less interference is going to give you more and more freedom from the programming that is underway on this planet.
Yeah, because it's not real. What's real is me enjoying my meal with my partner. What's real, to your point, right? And I read this quote actually by Dr. Joe Dispenza. So, and I think either you might have said this in one of your books, or it could have been Barbara Marciniak. And it's two things I want to bring up. Is number one, and this was by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and this was in the Heal documentary that I looked at for a second time recently. And it really resonates with me because I trust the power that created me far more than anything externally that could heal me. I trust that power to heal me and to nurture and take care of me more than anything that any human could make, number one. And number two, this incredible body, because it was made by that power, has its own pharmacopoeia. It knows exactly what to do.
Yeah, that would be something I've said for sure.
I figured it would be.
Yeah, and I mean, if you just allow yourself, when you acknowledge what a magnificent being you really are, and I mean that without any ego consciousness attached to it, the magnificence of creation and how all living beings are magnificent, but the human species is remarkable. And that from childhood, and especially these days, the message is you're always inadequate. You need everything we've got to make you survive. Starting with poor little innocent babies who start getting shot up when they're young, and we know the drama about that. And the barrage of information constantly telling you you're not enough, you're not good enough, you're not beautiful enough, you're not big enough, you're not small enough, you're not thin enough, you're not intelligent enough, until the point where all you can do is just cower into this empowered space of, wow, God, I don't even know how I make it through the day. And when you start pushing this away, and the billboards and the advertising and the subliminal messages and all of it, and you sit on a beach, if they let you, without circling police around you, or walk in a field and recognize that just like that blade of grass, you have a right to be here, and you are integral, and your body knows exactly what to do if you just let it. You know, the example I give all the time is, I recently mentioned that I really had a bad headache, and I didn't think I would be able to go ahead with my video. And loving people sending me 8 million messages about what to do, what to take, what to have. And it's like, no, I'm just gonna lie down in the dark for a moment and, you know, unplug from anything that's I'm dealing with, which is the computer, and just be silent and it'll pass. Oh, but you can take yada yada, and the alternative people who are proposing all kinds of other alternatives to pharma are also becoming dependent on these alternative substances. So at the point where you can take, I can't even, let's say echinacea, so only because right now I can't think of what I heard.
Yeah,
But try this, try that, try this, try that. I thought, the body is a perfect machine. It knows how to live. It knows its primary function is to survive and to live. And then we start tearing that down with all the medication, all the vaccination, all the bad information. And I know that you love No More Secrets, No More Lies, which talks so much about activating the DNA. There it is. Activating the DNA, rewriting the garbage that you've dumped into your intelligent blueprint with all the negative, fearful information, and rewriting it and rekindling the power.
Yeah. So
now I can, yeah.
Yeah, two things I want to say to that. Number one, everybody, remember when you're a little person, and even now, if you cut your hand open, it heals on its own. You can have a cut on your hand and it will heal. The body knows exactly what to do. And then just to add the comment, because that might be a little bit of a mind stretch, DNA activation, what does that mean? As soon as we, in our conscious awareness, decide, I want to expand in my awareness. I want to know more about who I am, what I am, my purpose. It feels to me, Patricia, that the entire universe repositions itself to support that individual's claim to expand, grow, evolve. And that is why the DNA expands, or why things start to
power, the beauty, the wisdom, the knowing that is part of keeping yourself healthy and whole.
Yes, because life wants to survive.
Go ahead. I saw you wanted to speak.
Yeah, I can you hear me? So let's go back then to your connection, because you're a psychic and you're a scribe, you're an author, you're a channel. Let's talk about how, take us all the way back to the first time that you realize that you can connect with higher intelligences, maybe share that experience as to how all these incredible bodies of work. I've got like 6 books on my desk here just to show everybody. These are just a few. I think there's only 2 books of Patricia's I haven't read. But there we are. So this is all of her material I've read over the years. Plus you have a beautiful Syrian tarot that was written a number of years ago. So tell us about your relationship with the Syrians.
Well, thank you for getting them all. There are others though, but you've got to,
the last one was the new Syrian Revelations. That was the last one that I read.
All right. Well, I have been blessed with being an open mystic since childhood because my mother encouraged it rather than discouraging me. So at a very young age, I was already talking to beings, seeing people who had passed over. Classic story of a person who walks through both worlds. And my mother, at a very young age, at 4 years of age, I walked into my mother's kitchen and I said that I was, she would tell me this story, that I walked in, and again, this was in the 50s, so it wasn't the language of the day to be talking about other universes as it is now. And I walked in out of my fort in the garden, 4-year-old kid, and I said, Mom, you realize I'm not from this galaxy. I think it was a universe or galaxy, universe. And she was cooking, we're Italian, so she was making spaghetti sauce. And she looked at me and said, Sarian, I'm not from this universe, I'm from a parallel reality. But okay, I don't think you're ready to know that right now. And walked back out. Leaving my mother with this pan in her hand. She said, I almost dropped the pan because it was such a strange thing. And so she encouraged that in me, and I was allowed to be an open psychic from childhood. And at various stages in my life, there have been like huge peaks. And one of those, oh, and let me also emphasize that at a very young age, I was being contacted by, I called them the little blue people, because I would see these little beings around me, especially when I was in nature, sort of like fairy beings, except they identified themselves as Syrians.
Okay.
And they talked to me about all these galactic aspects that are so very much a part of me now, part of us. And that, you know, they were watching me and they were loving me and they were taking care of me. And then down would come all this information about other realities and parallel universes. And they told me that I existed not only on Earth, and I was 5. So it was a lot. And then of going through my life, falling in love, going to college, it had its moments of temperance where I wasn't that involved psychically. So let's say that at the age of 30, I started getting into healing modalities. I had a passion for crystal healing, which I still do, and playing, like many of us, learning so many skills. And then one day I went into a crop circle in England, which was called the Julius set. It was the most powerful crop circle that existed, in my opinion, and it was my
Isn't that the one with all the incredible circles? All like it was, yeah.
Well, it was a spiral.
Yeah.
One circles, and it was called the Julius set. And the night before, I was in a color therapy course, and I had dreamt that I flew over this Stonehenge, and when I looked down, I saw this huge spiral. And so I in the middle of the night, I depicted it, and then lo and behold, it was a crop circle. I still had not really understood what crop circles were. So I got taken into the crop circle. And when I did, I lost consciousness for 2 hours. I felt I got into it. I just barely made it in. I felt very sick because I started spinning out of control and fell into the crop circle and spinning. And then I started to see my feet disappear, then my legs, and I could hear music. You were speaking about music. So I could hear, woo, this a cappella choir to the max. And as I watched my body deteriorate, boom, and I've never had another experience like that particular experience, watching myself disintegrate. It was extraordinary, extraordinary. And I was taken on a journey, a galactic journey, and I know that was when I was attuned to start serving, to bring in these messages from the Syrian High Council. My life changed dramatically after that. And when I came back to my body, I was also seeing plasma balls and men in black and people that weren't there. It was incredible experience. And so that was in 1996. And that was the beginning of my journey with the Syrian High Council, who still today, I mean, 24 years later, I'm still channeling them, still working for them. So that's a very exciting aspect of my mission in this life.
So when you feel them around you or see them around you, can you explain how do you, I mean, obviously 24 years, you've got quite a relationship developed, right? But how do you know their presence and that it's time to scribe some messages?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because a lot of people are channeling lower astral beings because they're not asking for the highest intention, the highest good. And so we are surrounded, as you well know, by all layer and all manner of etheric energy and beings floating around, whether it's a squiggle of thought or actual beings, entities. So you really need to be extraordinarily careful if you're working as a medium, if you want to call it medium, to work with anything that wants to come and communicate with you. You better know for sure what you're dealing with, because it's very easy to pick something up that tells you you're just the most extraordinary person ever. Then your auric field cracks because of ego, and then this stuff slips in. So for starters, when I am preparing to receive messages from the council, I go into meditation. I'm not a spontaneous channel that can go, ooh, ooh, I just picked something up. I am meticulous about sacred space, especially having worked as a healer and knowing how entities try to get in. I am meticulous. So when it's time and they give me a signal, and the signal sounds like a cellophane wrapper,
Okay.
like from a pack of cigarettes, okay? And I know that what's happening is they're preparing the field so that they can condense their energy, which is so much higher than mine, and I can be signaled to start turning mine up.
Right.
And there's a place of meeting energetically, and I know how that feels, and it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And usually I get enough time, although not always, to just sit down, meditate, create sacred space around me, always reclaim my humility, because that is a beautiful conduit energetically. Always, I come in humble service. Bless you, thank you. I'm here as your humble scribe. And that energy of humility is a beautiful conduit. And it's also protection for me, because I've seen how people lose their sovereignty when their ego gets in the way. And then I see the crack in the auric shield, arrivederci, baby. So first of all, I'm not a trance channel. I don't want anything coming into me. I'm a sovereign being.
Right.
So I don't understand trance channeling. I don't particularly think that's a great idea. But there's this place, this location energetically above my head in the crown, where I hear this, and it's like tune up energetically.
Like a tuning of a radio station. Hey, let's get the frequency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly like that. Only it's an energy band is the best I can describe it. They condense and I expand, and we find a place where we can connect. And as far as what they look like, I hate to disappoint, because I see all these drawings of all these beings, these beautiful drawings of ET, but what I see is light spheres. They're no longer in form. These are beings that have ascended to the sixth dimension, and there's no form.
Right.
There is, sometimes I can almost make out a humanoid aspect, but by and large, it's just light, and it's so, you can see my expression, it's so bright, I can almost not even look at it.
Right.
And also, a lot of times when I'm channeling, I can feel them, I can feel this light moving in around me. It's like a protective, it's like there are 3 primary speakers, and they move around me and they form a triangle of light. So it's a pretty exciting experience, I'll tell you.
Well, you can tell from your the look on your face and the energy that you're portraying as you speak of them, that it's quite a divine experience. And
it is.
It feels to me so I don't channel any beings. I go into my heart space, and my heart speaks to me directly. And that would be my monad who speaks to there. But to go back to the whole channeling experience and working with some, I want to say the word shenanigan, or that's probably the wrong word, but the lower beings, they would of course try to make someone feel special. And I believe you have been very adamant and vocal about this, as well as Lee Carroll, who channels Cryon. And you have, I hosted Lee Carroll and Cryon for a decade. Basically, every time he comes to Toronto, I assist him with his workshops. And it was actually through Natalia, who you knew. That's how you and I met.
That's right.
Was through Natalia, who attended one of those. And he says, as well as you, always be very, very wary of anybody who says you're special, and that this is
that's right.
You're the only one that has this information. And if it,
you can be sure you're getting into trouble with that. And you're the chosen one. How many times people have said you're the, Patricia, how does it feel to be the chosen one? I go, we are the chosen people.
Exactly.
We exist in form. We are chosen. Don't even stroke my ego. I don't want it. Or even in the days of healing, when people say, oh my God, you have the most extraordinary, nah, sorry. I would never allow that into my energy. I always stop people and say, actually, thank you, but I'm only a conduit here. It's you and divinity.
God
And
gets
it's so
the glory.
important. So
God gets
important.
the,
And if you notice, a lot of authors right now are getting out of whack. I'm sure you've noticed it. People are starting to get lost a little bit in their egos, and it alarms me because it's very easy to slip, and suddenly you've cracked a fissure in your aura, and watch out.
yeah.
So I really loved that time I did a 2-day conference in Canada with, where was it? Montreal, with Lee, because we have two books that we were
Yes,
both
you
channeled
did.
in.
Transition Now, I believe, was one of them, and the other one was The Great Shift, which might also be.
Boy, you are wonderful.
Oh, you know what? I remember what happened? I think for my awakening years ago, I had a realization that the earth was alive. I was like, oh my God, everything that touches this planet is alive. That was sort of like my realization. And I remember I don't know how I found these books. They found me. And I would read Greg Braden, the Divine Matrix and the God Code. And I had no clue I'll tell a story. I had no clue what Lightworker Starseed was. And at Magenta, also a mutual friend of ours, I interviewed her in, I think it was June of 2018. And she called it Starseed Q&A. That was the name, because reached out to her and said, hey, come to Canada, we'll do a workshop. I host Lee, and I host, who else did I host? Paul Selig, another channel. And her calendar was too busy or whatever. And Daniel, her partner, said, hey, why don't you interview her? And I'm like, okay, I'd never done that before. So sure, also read her books. And she called it Starseed Q&A. And I remember this was in June. And I remember in September, I was writing to her saying, so like, what do you feel about my energy? And then I had an aha moment. Oh, I'm a starseed. Oh, I didn't get it. I thought I was just reading all these books because I found it interesting. You know what I mean? Which is really funny because that's not how it works.
It's so, I love that. And like, also the way we travel, where we go to is not an accident. I've been to Egypt 40 times at least.
So I wanted to,
because I have an incredible affinity with it. It's like also with Mexico and the English sites and Peru. But my point being here, just like you realize, oh, that's why I'm drawn to this information. It's the same thing with traveling. Consider myself a pretty spiritual person. I've never been to India. It doesn't attract me at all. But, I've been 40, 50 times to Egypt. And so I think we are attracted to what we know, whether or not we remember it. We are starting to remember everything, but what we know, who we know we really are, that baggage that we brought in, that sack that I call the karmic bag, contains all that information, and back to the DNA. So does the DNA, because it's a computer. If you really think about DNA, and people get a little spooked and go, what are you talking about? It's the computer board of our software as human beings. Yeah. And it's all of it is encoded. Everything we know, everything genetically that we are, but also everything that we've acquired in all lifetimes, somehow in that 80% of the DNA they call junk. It's all recorded in there. And how exciting. So when you come across something that you just say, oh, I like this, usually a reason. And whether it's because all of a sudden you pick up a paintbrush and you're a master artist or a writer or whatever, it's just reconnecting with what you know. Yeah. And that's very exciting.
And when you know, there's no question. The small self thinks, the divine self knows.
And a really good piece of spiritual literature will be read with, I know this. I know this. Yeah. Because it's universal truth, and it's expressed by different people in different ways. But if it's touching universal truth, you know it on some deep level. Exactly. And there's all sorts of revelation in reading it, because the presenter has aspects that color the coloring book of your soul, that add color to the coloring book of your soul, but you know it. And that is the most exhilarating thing. And people tell me all the time, I picked up your books And I felt like, oh my God, I know this already. Blip, 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 blip. I know, my God, I know this at some deep level. And I think that's very exciting because it means we're touching each other at the soul level, and we're gifted by beings that know how to do that, to awaken the dormant that is coiled in the DNA or in some distant memory, waiting to be remembered.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find it also amazing how we find each other here.
Yeah.
Like, how are you living in the Azores and I'm in Canada, and here we are, with the friendship.
Well, we do have this wonderful gift of the internet, but even before then, I mean, it's just, I think a lot of starseed are connecting. Spiritual people are waking up, and so whatever their focus is, whatever environment, whether it's a yoga community or starseed community, UFO people, in the end, it's all about expanding consciousness, and we just keep tripping over each other and adding to our portfolio of knowledge and experience.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting because when I was a young person, there were no books. There was no new age sector at the bookstore, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could find things like Nietzsche and Krishnamurti, but you weren't finding this plethora of information and experience that we can access now. So even though we're in such difficult times, oh my God, how exciting that we're in such an awakening.
So, and you're right, because an awakening for one person can be completely different to somebody else. An awakening for one person might be, wait a minute, I can't understand any of these words on the back of this ingredient box. Maybe I shouldn't eat them if I don't understand what the word is, or they go look it up. Okay. Well,
can I interrupt you? I want to interrupt you because I don't want to forget what I'm just about to say to what you said.
And do you want me to?
It's because no matter whether it's reading ingredients on a package or questioning the universe, it's about waking up. To me, is starting to question the illusion. The first step is to question the illusion. And sorry for interrupting you, but I just didn't want to lose this thought.
No, that's
what you said. Being able to question, wait a minute, what am I ingesting here? What's this sodomonimo glutamate? Do I need this? What is it? That's the awakening. Whatever manifestation it is, questioning whether Pluto is a planet or a gaseous ball, whatever that looks like, it is questioning the narrative. And when you do that, you reclaim another piece of your sovereignty. Because you're not just going along for the ride. You're not just ingesting the box of Doritos. You're saying, hold a minute here.
Not that we're judging Doritos, because they have.
Not that we're judging Doritos, which are yummy. Yeah.
I just have a taco salad I love with a few Doritos in there, but yeah. But you're exactly.
Yeah, but do read the label. Yeah, go ahead. I'm good.
I was just going to say, it was for me, I remember looking on the back of the oatmeal, Quaker Oats, no offense to the company, but Quaker Oats oatmeal muffin mix. In there is something called propylene glycol, which is antifreeze. It's the same thing they put in your window wash to stop, your windscreen from freezing in the winter, and probably not a good place to put in your body, because as I teach my clients, it's about what you eat, what you think, what you drink, and how you move. It's really all about that.
Yeah. And all of that is about how you honor your being. How you honor yourself enough to say, you know what, I'm not going to eat this garbage. And, for example, I've become an avid baker because I started my own culture for sourdough. And the experience, I take pleasure in a lot of simple things. So the experience of watching this dough, I don't know if you know about sourdough starter, but it's basically flour and water, and it gathers yeast from the air and carbon dioxide, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think carbon dioxide, and it metabolizes and it starts to rise up. You feed it more flour and it rises, and you get rid of some, and you keep doing this until it actually becomes active.
Okay.
And once you've got active starter, you've basically got active yeast that needs to be fed every day until it's really, really active. Then you can leave it in the refrigerator, take it out once a week and feed it, and then you can use it. So I've been turning a lot of people onto this. I've got all kinds of new bakers out there. I even have a bakers club on Facebook. And the joy, and this is something that maybe other people don't have as much time for as I do. The joy of watching my starter come to life. The joy of watching the bread rise, because it's a slow rise, unlike active dry yeast, which is still better than buying the store-bought stuff.
Yeah.
But watching it rise and feeling the life of it, and knowing that you've put all this love in it, because I can sit there and watch it and come on, rise. And this food, the power and the love in the food, the probiotic essence of having natural fermentation in your body, this is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And when you taste that bread, it's like you've never eaten bread before.
I know, right?
It's the best bread you ever eat, right?
I have a tower garden, an indoor tower garden, and I grow kale, and actually I've just cleaned it out and I'm actually just about to reseed, but I grow kale, spinach, BB lettuce, romaine lettuce. And it's funny because every morning with the little seedlings, or every time I walked by them, right, I'd be like, hi, how are you? Look at you grow. And I'd meditate and I'd bless them and I'd play beautiful sound healing music. And there is nothing on the planet like picking from your own garden the food that you're going to
Absolutely.
Like
you've never eaten a salad until you've just taken it right fresh out of your garden. It's just like, how can lettuce taste this good?
I know, right? I know, and I
know it's mindfulness. It's being mindful. Again, you are a sovereign being. You have responsibility to take care of this bioelectric unit. Electromagnetic biological unit is what the Syrianite Council say.
Yeah, exactly.
Always remember, you are an electromagnetic biological unit. And, you know, aside from the higher aspects of who we are as love-centered beings, they remind us that we are actually physically designed to run electromagnetism through our body.
Yeah, we are essentially energy batteries. We are.
Yeah, and the auric field is all of this energy emanating out. And the higher the energy is, the more radiant. I'm not talking about anything you don't know so much about, but perhaps who's listening thinks of auras as a little woo-woo. And so if you can make it science, just understand that, like, even equipment, electrical equipment has an auric field to it of how much emanation there is. So do we. We run electromagnetism through our crown and up from the earth. And this has everything to do with the chakras. And when you're healthy in every way, this field of energy just radiates out. So when people say, oh my God, she radiates love and light, well, it's got a lot to do with how you're taking care, how you're managing and taking care of your electromagnetic biological.
Exactly. And just to add to that, for the folks that I teach through the science of heart math, how to manage stress is from every beat. From beat to beat, the heart creates a spark of electricity.
That's right.
From within itself, and then physics, right? Basic physics, as soon as there's electricity, a magnetic field, that's that electromagnetic energy field that we're talking about. And that's all entwined, entangled with the chakras, the energy systems, and how that functions. Our body is incredible. And the heart actually sends more information to the brain than the other way around. But yeah, we are.
Yeah, people don't really we never really stop to think about the work that the heart does.
Yeah, the heart is large and in charge, essentially. It's large and in charge. It pretty much runs everything in the body.
Meticulously.
Yeah, thank heavens we didn't have to remember to breathe. Or, oh shit, I forgot to grow my hair. You know, we don't have to worry about that stuff, right?
Well, lately we do have to remember to breathe, considering they want us in 3 masks. But all kidding aside, you know, the magnificence of thinking that if you just move, what has to take place for you to move your finger?
Right.
The nerves, the blood, the muscles, the electric current. We never think about how magnificent our beings are.
And to add that, if you think about an athlete, if they're visualizing their event before they run for the gold medal, say 100-meter dash, if they visualize the event, they've done tests that every single muscle, every single neuron fires in their mind. They're thinking, they're imagining it. And I think this is something too that we have gotten away from, is where we are at right now in our world. Our reality is a result of past thought, collective past consciousness thought, like a school of fish or a school of fish, flock of birds. Sometimes I get those two. I call them sometimes a school of birds and a flock of fish, which is wrong. That's completely inverting those two. But I
like a flock of fish. It has a certain onomatopoeia to it.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Well, you know, that is what manifestation is, seeing it. So when the athlete sees it and already starts to charge up the entire system, right? Like you're saying, he or she, in essence, is already charging the field, the manifestation field of reality to make it happen. Yeah. And so if we could only learn from that and know that when we want to see a desired outcome, we too have to see it. So many people get trapped in this, I don't want to hope for it because I know I'll be disappointed. I go, be disappointed. What's going to happen? Are you going to hurt your boo-boo? If you have a disappointment, is it going to hurt? But while you're not you're worried about being disappointed, you're missing out on the opportunity of creating and manifesting what you want because you see it and believe it happening.
Yeah, exactly.
So if it doesn't happen and you get disappointed, you know, so what? You're not poor.
Yeah.
Get on with it.
That talks to attachment, right? And just create it, imagine it, feel it like it's already real, and you'll call it into being through that incredible energy.
Create it.
Exactly.
You help create it. And you know, I'm very blessed with that. I've always been a powerful manifester, and I've always been in my circle of people the one who says, people will say, well, I'll give you an example. You're going to write a book? I mean, it's so hard. I go, no, it's not hard. But I mean, you know, okay, maybe you're channeling it. This was one of my family members with the sarcastic, maybe you're channeling it, but still, you know, to get published is next to impossible. I go, do you think that everybody thinks like you do? What do you mean? Do you think that everybody thinks it's impossible to get published? Well, I mean, it's kind of a given, isn't it? I go, well, guess what? I'm the one who doesn't think it's impossible. I'm the one who's going to make that happen because I'm putting the energy into this, and I'm absolutely guided that I want this to happen. So you can be with the 99.99% of the people who know that it's impossible, and I am the 0.01% of the people who's going to make it happen. And that's how I've lived my life. And it's a great way to live. And if you don't make it happen, you get disappointed. My message is, I'm not for hopeless disappointment, knowing that the other side of disappointment, believing it, is creating it. And that usually when I really do, I do.
And that is a really good point to bring up, because the power of belief is everything.
Absolutely.
What you believe to be possible will indeed shape your reality. Because like you make a great point. If we were to listen to everybody say, oh, you can't do that. Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, you can't do that. Oh, yeah, you're right. So what do you?
It'll never happen is one of my favorite one-liners.
Right? It'll never happen?
Yeah.
When I get that, I'm like, oh really? So you have all of the laws of the universe on your side, and you
exactly.
But this.
And, you know, when I tell these people, do you think that everybody thinks like you do? Well, yeah. Well, I don't. Guess what? I'm going to slip right in there and make it happen. Thank you for letting me know that there's no competition, because everybody knows it can't be done.
Exactly.
And this is something that I think that people that are creative and independent and have strong will have in common. Seeing it possible. This is, you know, the dreamers of the world, the creators of the world, see it possible and make it happen. And, you know, a wonderful message for people that are listening right now is when everybody tells you it's not possible, you can't do it. And I'll give you another example. I woke up one morning and I decided I was going to write a screenplay. I never had any experience whatsoever. But the council said it's time for you to write a movie. And I thought, oh, okay. And I had no experience. People go to get a 4-year degree in screenwriting, right?
Yeah.
No experience. I bought the software and I went on the internet, how to write a screenplay, got some tips. I went, okay, I can do this. And that screenplay went on to get, very quickly got a contract, which it didn't turn out to be a film, but it's called an option in the industry, where a producer will option it for a year and see if they can make it bite. And effortless. And the producer that first, it's been optioned more than once. The first option, he said, this can't be your first screenplay. I said, it is? He goes, how is it possible? It doesn't read like a beginner. I go, I don't know, I just did it. I just believe in myself. I have a story to tell, and I did the preliminaries and got the software, and there it is. And so my message to people is, if you believe you can do something, you can. Just make it happen, and just push through. Everybody tells you it's not possible.
And that is very pertinent for our situation right now on the planet. If you believe that your body is powerful enough to heal itself and to keep itself well while we navigate the external health challenge we're being told is a pandemonium, or whatever that word was that you used that we need to trademark now. If you believe that your body and you're conscious enough to put the right substances in your body to support yourself, you're going to move through this unscathed. Because, as an example, I don't walk around thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to catch a cold tomorrow. Oh my gosh, what if this happens? Oh my God, what if that happens? And living in fear. Because what we have right now on the planet is so many people afraid of dying that they don't even live their life. They don't live fully.
They're already dead. That's what I was talking about, of the lower chakra, the survival, emotion, and power. And they're all, powerless, terrified emotion, survival. And one of my remedies for this is to remind people that, hey, you're going to die. It's part of life. It's a natural part of life that you will at some time die. What you want to concentrate on is not your mortality, it's your immortality. So you're in this little stretch of existence for 70, 80, 90 years, whatever. And then what? It's just it's a tube. And then you've got this other aspect, which is the greater aspect of who you are, what your soul is doing, which is, okay, that was exciting. You are going to die. Get over it. And from there, because, we have a culture where we're terrified of death. Western culture particularly, it just demonizes death. Whereas the Tibetans and the Indians and some other traditions celebrate the passage. Let's not forget the Egyptians. They had chariots and wine and everything ready to go with them, which might not have been exactly an understanding of how it all works, but maybe it was. The point being, this is, get on with your life. You came here to experience it. If you're just stuck in your house with 4 masks on, because I can't believe people are even wearing them in the house, and you can't even touch your family, you can't have love making, forget it. Now they want you to wear a mask when you're making love. I said, if I'm going to kiss someone, darling, it's going to be kissing,
connecting. Yes. Intimate. Deeply.
I'm having a little trouble recalling it. It's been a while, but making love, touching another soul, embracing each other. If there's not that, and because you're allowing an omnipotent administrator to tell you you can't do that, and so even in the privacy of your home, you won't do it because they said you can't do it, you better get your act together. Yeah. Because little by little, you're losing your humanity. And that is much more frightening.
And isn't that what this does? I mean, think about I'm going to get into that too much. But children develop empathy through facial expression.
Oh, we all do.
Well, yeah, exactly, right? And from 0 to 5, babies, that's when the brain develops and makes the connection of empathy and human touch with pleasure, because we're social creatures, right? We need connection and bonding. And I remember, gosh, the CEO of a company many years ago, she used to say, if you don't get at least 3 hugs a day, you'll be weird. Like, you need to have a couple of hugs a day. You need human contact. I
have no hugs.
Oh, baby, I'll give you a hug.
I'm getting them virtually, which is okay, but physically would be nice too. But at the moment, there's no hugs around. So I hug the dogs. And that's universal. That's universal love.
So we're really going to pivot. I want to pivot here because I'm just looking at our time, because we're probably going to, we'll definitely have to get together for another chat, because this has been absolutely fabulous. I want to talk about Egypt for a second. And I don't remember where I heard this, but I think I remember you taking some folks to, obviously, a sacred place, and you shared to your Syrian fam jam, I'm going to call, please come. Please come. So
yes.
The group you had, because I totally want to do a tour with you in Egypt. I so want to come to Egypt.
Oh, I'd love to have you there.
I'm totally coming.
When I take people to Egypt, I get private access. It's incredible. I did this program one year called Egypt by Night. And at 4 a.m, my group was like, every morning you have to be up at 2. I go, yeah, but you can sleep during the day. And you are the only ones, read my lips, 50 people at the time on that particular group, were the only ones to be in Karnak Temple, which is 500,000 people probably not today, a day with the tour guides, and you are looking at the statue of Ramses IV. There's nothing there for me. I need energy, right? So 4 o'clock in the morning, my group, we get off the bus. I've paid a fortune for this, right? So everybody on their side does what they have to do because they've all been greased, right?
Right.
And the gates open, and my group, and I tell them, pay attention, because if you don't realize how privileged you are, that we 50 people have this temple to ourselves.
That's amazing.
And it's just beyond mystical. So on that journey, I also got the Temple of Hatshepsut, which is very personal to me. Do you have in your books Where Pharaohs Dwell?
That's the only
I
one.
don't think you've got it in your collection.
I don't have that one.
You've got to read it.
Okay.
You got to read it.
I'll get it.
So, yeah, and my story about my connection to Hatshepsut is in all explained in that book. So I take them to this temple in the middle of the desert, 4 a.m, and somebody said, don't you think it's dangerous? I said, dangerous? Life is dangerous. If you want to live life, you just make it happen and think adventure and possibility and opportunity, and let danger stay back. In the hotel where you could easily drown in the pool.
Exactly.
So 4 o'clock in the morning, we go to this temple, and we, again, alone. And guards were there because there was a terrorist attack in this temple years earlier. So there were guards because they were protecting us. It was always arranged through the government, and bakshish all the guards. And they had some machine guns. So we're up at the top, and I'm leading a meditation, and I start to know that there's going to be a presence, right? I go, stop, lie down. No, I think we were already lying down. Yeah, everybody was lying down with their eyes closed. We were meditating. I was leading a meditation. I go, open your eyes, pay attention. And I said, please come. I just knew we were going to get phenomena. I said, you've given me so much. Now, I had 50 witnesses, okay? Please come for them. Show us. And I looked up, and there was only in the sky, and I still can't figure this out, all there was, completely crystal clear night in the desert. The only stars you could see were Orion and Sirius. How is that possible? I cannot tell you, right? I was like this, am I in the third dimension or what? And I'm looking at Sirius, and then all of a sudden, this light goes on, and everybody's watching. Now, we were starting to slip into meditation, but I shocked them out of it when I said, no, stop, open your eyes. And then I did this please come thing, and this light goes on, bing, starts to move across the horizon, and the group's like, what is that? And somebody said, oh, it's the space, there was a buzz, 50 people, right? Oh, it's the space station. I go, yeah, I don't think so. Somebody said, well, that, it's definitely the space station. And it goes 90-degree turn. Another 90-degree turn across the sky.
It's like they heard that.
The space station doesn't do 90-degree turn in a nanosecond.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh my God, what was that? I go, they're not done yet. on the other side of this horizon, starts doing, I swear to you, I have witnesses, cartwheels. This crap, and then it goes out. And
that's so awesome.
Needless to say, these people were over the moon because it was not, there was no question, especially because there were no stars. There was no question that we were seeing craft and that they were interacting with us and putting on a show for us. And it was playful. It was beautiful.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was
what a
quite
gift. What a gift. And no doubt you've got on your website lots of reviews from these wonderful tours you've done. And so how else can people work with you, Patricia? How are you, yeah, tell me a little bit about, and then we'll close off about what you're.
Okay, I have some online, my main website is patriciacori.com, which hopefully you'll put on the video.
I will, yeah.
And my other website is SIRIANRevelations.net. I have a couple of online courses on my site, and I have a YouTube channel that they can find on my site. And I'm embarking on preparing now a couple of workshops on writing your book, writing your mystical, spiritual book, and eventually also writing a screenplay. Because I think as I do readings, and I also do private readings, so many people are struggling with getting a book written, or they're in the way, it's forming, or I'm like, come on, if you've got wisdom to share with the world, come on, man, bring it out. And so I'm going to do that. I'm working on that right now, to some short, brief workshops to motivate, excite people, and give them the confidence and guidance to start writing their book. Or if they are writing a book, to get it going more, faster, louder.
Right on.
So I've got a lot of things going on, and I'm writing a new screenplay, and I stay busy.
Can you share a little bit about what this new screenplay is that you're writing? Because we definitely need to recreate imaginative, inspired works of art to witness and inspire one's hearts, right? So what?
Yeah, that's what.
That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a masterpiece in the making. And so will you be starting the tours again, the sacred site tours, hopefully in the near?
Yes, I have right now planned, and by hook or by crook, we're going to get there this summer. We have a glorious private visit in the Bosnia pyramids with Sam Osmanagic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's doing private with my group. We'll be there for a week, and it's going to be a healing experience as well. I'll be doing healing work there, and so will Sam. The pyramid is a huge healing machine, and so we have the luxury of having him all to ourselves.
Is that the pyramid that has the water underneath that is still crystal?
That's the one, yeah. It has the water, and it has a healing chamber where you go in and you come out, and your Kirlian energy is 3 times as big.
And people with people that have a reduced lung capacity, when they're there for a few days, all of a sudden they can breathe.
Yeah, that's right. So, what a great idea if people are worried about viruses and such, to come on in and take part in this experience, and just major healing in the pyramid, as well as other things we'll be doing there. I have also planned in the same period of time, late May, early June, another dolphin program here in the Azores called Remembering Atlantis, because this is Atlantis, part of Atlantis. And next, in 2022, I'm doing another Egypt trip, because I long for Egypt. I have to be in Egypt. It's my place.
Right on.
So I'm not giving up on travel, and hopefully we will be free enough to start living again.
Wonderful.
And if people are interested, by all means, when you go to my patriciacori.com site, there's a contact page, and you can get, just write me what you're interested in. And I always answer people. Sometimes it takes a little time, but I always answer.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for
directly.
That. I'll make sure that all of those links are not only on this video, but also in the YouTube channel. Don't go away, Patricia. I want you to stay on for a second. Thank you, everybody, for listening. No doubt we will be back together again in the future to have another awesome conversation. Thanks for listening. Take care.